All right, guys, so I'm just getting back from a 16-day trip to Europe that I took with my young son, my wife, and his grandparents, and we had an absolutely wonderful time. We used the metro, we battled heat waves, we saw culture, but throughout the trip, our biggest packing regret is actually this item right here. We decided to bring my son's foldable scooter with us. We thought it'd be a great way to give him more mobility, allow him to travel across Europe, but it actually turned into one of our biggest regrets that I really wish we would have not taken in hindsight looking back on this trip. And today I really wanted to go over kind of the reasons why that happened and help you think about packing on your future trips. Before we left for the trip, we thought that bringing this scooter along and his helmet was going to be a mobility unlock that was going to really help us have a wonderful trip. But boy, it just sort of turned into a headache and something we had to lug around with us. And to be honest, we didn't even end up using it. Let me kind of explain what happened. So let's back up here though a little bit. So how did I even get in this situation? I've traveled to Europe before. I've taken my family to Europe. Why would I think taking this big bulky scooter was a good idea? Well, you see, earlier in the spring, we'd actually been on a spring break trip to California. We went out to San Diego to Oceanside, California, and we brought my son's scooter with, and it was absolutely marvelous. There were wide sidewalks. It was easy for him to scoot along the beach. We were going from our resort to the beach and back, not really traveling too far, and it just felt like this perfect place to have a scooter. Well, fast forward to when we were in Europe. We landed in Europe. We were jet lagged. We were in Haarlem in the Netherlands, and we quickly realized that there were bikes zooming by, narrow sidewalks, and it was just far too stressful to allow him to use his scooter in this big city. And you know, as we look back, it seems obvious, but before the trip, it had worked so well in San Diego. We thought, well, isn't this going to be the mobility device that allows him to keep up, to not have to carry our 6-year-old son across these European cities? Well, turns out it was a regret. We didn't actually end up using the scooter once on our entire trip, and it just stayed in our accommodations the entire time. And looking back, yeah, that probably could have been an item we could have left home. All right, so what's the lesson we learned from all of this? Do we just never bring a scooter to Europe? Well, maybe. That might actually be the right answer, but I'd really make sure to look at, if you're debating traveling with a scooter with your kids, thinking it would really help with them keeping up and traveling farther, I'd really think about the cities that you're going to visit in Europe. You know, are you just going to a beach town where you're going to be going from your resort or your hotel right to the beach? Are there wide open sidewalks? Is it going to be easy to navigate around? Ultimately, in the future, I don't think I see a time where I'd bring a scooter overseas on an international flight. Maybe that's something you could rent or get locally from a host from an Airbnb. We actually did have that once on when we were staying in a coastal town in France. The Airbnb host actually brought a scooter and a helmet to us. That was a pretty amazing experience. But yeah, I mean, for us, lesson learned, something that hopefully my family and I can learn that lesson so you don't have to in the future. We did take some good takeaways from it, though. With all the travel, we didn't actually have any problems getting the scooter onto the airlines. We flew domestically on Delta and had no problems. We actually had figured out a little hack. I'll show you some videos here in the background. We figured out that we could use an IKEA bag, and it was an IKEA zipper bag that had backpack straps. We put the scooter in there, and we were able to walk right past and bring it on as a carry-on item right onto the plane. So we did that domestically on Delta, and then internationally we flew Delta again and flew overseas internationally. Within Europe, we flew on Air France, and then internationally back on Air France. And all of those airlines, we were able to bring it right on the plane with us, put it up in the overhead bin, and didn't have any problems. Although was a little stressful. I think technically it was a little bigger than the airlines would allow. So we did have a little bit of stress each time we boarded the plane of, are they actually going to allow us to have this on the plane? But ultimately they did. We didn't have any issues there, but I certainly would not travel with a fold-up scooter again for future trips to Europe. So I was debating if I was even going to make this video. I was honestly a little embarrassed thinking about making this packing mistake. I've been to Europe before. I know the streets, I know the place, but ultimately I decided to share this video with you all because I think it's so important for us as a travel community to learn from each other. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to share what's your biggest packing mistake you've made on trips to Europe. What's something you brought along that afterwards, once you got there, you were just like, why on earth did I pack this and lug it across the ocean all the way to Europe? So share that in the comment below. Would love to hear from other folks. And future videos going forward here, I'm actually going to be focused on this past trip I just got back from. I'm going to be sharing lessons learned, stories from visiting Haarlem in the Netherlands, from visiting Lyon, France, and Paris, France. So stick around if that sort of video sounds good to you. And if you found today's video to be interesting, you may like this video right over here. It's where I specifically talk about how to survive a long haul flight with kids. You may find that information useful. But thanks so much for being here today. Really appreciate you. And don't forget to be kind and love everybody. We'll catch you next time.